Kiwi
102.2 Auckland.
Kiwi FM.
You're listening to the Radio Wammo Breakfast, only on Kiwi.
Well, it's day 3 over in Copenhagen for the climate change conference over there, and Daniel Nielsen from the Copenhagen Post joins us via live Skype video feeds. And if you're watching live right now, you can check him out on the front of the Kiwi FM website, kiwifm.co.nz. Otherwise, of course, on demand as well. And if the internets are working perfectly, then Daniel should be joining us right now. Good morning and good evening to you, Daniel.
Good morning, Wammo. I hope the internet is working perfectly.
Well, you got a wee frozen picture, but that's for some reason. But that's all right. We can hear you perfectly. So you're once again in the media hub, the media bunker there.
Yes, in fact, right now I'm actually in the sort of expo centre of the conference. If you can, I've just moved the camera around a little bit. You can see big bright lights behind me. We're in this big hall, and this is where a lot of the NGOs and different organisations have their stalls where you can come and get brochures and posters and talk to people about issues, that sort of thing. I hear that but before we get on to the serious stuff, I hear that there are some good goodie bags going around as well. No, in fact, there are no goodie bags. And the Danish Prime Minister made a point of this in the plenary opening session of the conference. He said that instead of giving out goodie bags to journalists, we're going to spend the money on 11 scholarships to people from the developing world who are all now studying in Denmark, doing either master's programs or PhD degrees. So I'm all for that. I'm a journalist. I'm not here for the goodie bag, although that would have been pretty cool. And even so, we get some really nice stuff. I've got free transport all around the city. I can catch the metro, the bus, the train anywhere I want. Obviously, I'm only really using it to get to and from the conference, but that's okay. I got for example, I got a lovely calendar today from, I think it's an Oxfam one, maybe. There you go. And loads of other free stuff. I get free newspapers. There's cheap food. I got a meal for about $5 today. The beer with my meal was more expensive than the meal. There's also free chocolate, which I've become really addicted to. These little squares of 72% cocoa, actually, which is just a touch above what the normal 70% dark chocolate. Yeah. Well, with all that, very good. One wonders why any of the journalists want to bother covering the conference at all, with all this free stuff around to distract them. That's right. But I mean, the other thing about being here is it's such a privilege to be in a place where this sort of major international decision or treaty could even be signed. And it's also very exciting for a young journalist like me to be around and seeing all these old BBC heads and Guardian correspondents and people from New York Times and CNN. It's really happening here. It's very lively, and it really is people from all around the world. There's all sorts of national costumes happening, all sorts of languages being spoken. It's very exciting. And of course, it's a conference that won't be short of controversy. And into day 3, there has been a big issue pop up by a proposal put forward by the Danish authorities. Yeah, the Danish government has it's actually a leaked document, a document that's been leaked. The Danish government has put together this proposal on what to do about climate change mitigation. They've discussed it even with the UK, the US, and the Australian governments, I believe. And this has been put out, it's been found by people, and especially the developing nations are very upset with this. Some of them, they're threatening to walk out, thinking that this would be an even stronger message to send than any negotiation they can do. So it's pretty serious. The paper that's come out, this draft, says that there's a bunch of proposals on what we can do. For example, we need to commit to no more than 2 degrees Celsius increase in global temperatures. We need to ensure that a peak level of emissions is reached soon, no later than 2020. Developed nations need to reduce their emissions by 80% from 1990 levels by 2050. And developing nations also need to commit to nationally appropriate mitigation actions. These things all sound good, but the developing nations are not happy with them. They're targets that suit the developed nations. Right, so they allow developed nations to put out more carbon than developing nations. Now, one wonders why. No, have I got that wrong? Not necessarily. Not from what I know, but I think that it's been interpreted in various ways. And it's also, it needs to be mentioned that the executive secretary of the UNFCCC, which is the climate arm of the UN, the Ivo de Boer, who is the guy who fronts the press conference every day and talks about all the issues at the conference. He's kind of like the main UN climate guy. He's stated specifically now that this is an informal paper, which ahead of the conference was given to a number of people, and that it's not a formal text that will be tabled at the chairs of the Copenhagen conference. Okay. So it's not. It's he's trying to dampen things down, but it certainly has sparked a lot of strong reaction over here.
Well, yeah, because regardless of whether it's going to be tabled or not, it's already got people talking. The Climate Change Minister for New Zealand, Nick Smith, has already had to go away and talk with his officials about whether or not New Zealand would support such a move.
Yeah, I went to the New Zealand delegation yesterday and this morning, and I think I told you on Monday they're in a very pokey little office about as far away as you can get from anywhere here at the conference. And they were talking more about what's important to the New Zealand delegation is some of the decisions that are going to be made about forestry and deforestation and things like that. That's where our negotiators are at this stage. I think it sounds like the good old Dr. Smith has been prompted on an issue he might not know so much about.
Right. Okay, so any other further developments on day 3 there in Copenhagen?
Well, the activists are meeting tonight, a big group of activists generally associated with the Climate Action Network. No, Climate Action Justice, I think they're called. They're meeting as we speak, actually, for a couple of hours to plan their major protests of the conference. The first one of which will be on Saturday, where they're going to have a protest entitled System Change, Not Climate Change. And they're going to be walking from the Houses of Parliament here in Copenhagen to the Foreign Ministry. And there could be some trouble. We'll see what happens there. The police have their water cannon on standby, which is recently acquired. There's been a couple of interesting stories about that water cannon, actually. There's been bets, actual proper betting and odds on whether the water cannon is going to be used at the conference.
Right.
And there's also a contest to name the water cannon. So we'll see what happens with that.
Well, as long as no one gets hurt, then I suppose that's okay, I guess. Well, thanks very much for joining us from the Copenhagen Climate Change Conference, and we'll catch up with you again soon. Daniel Nielsen from the Copenhagen Post.
Thanks, Wammo.
Track now from Anna Coddington. This here is called Never Change.